passion. We going big with Chad Blackman.
Good night, people. Good night, Sion Hill. Good night, Calton. Good night, Westmoreland. Good night, Bakers. Good night, Thunder Bay. Good night, Western. St. James North. Chad Blackman and Team Barbados Labour Party are here. I want to salute all the young people, the men and women who continue to follow me as I go across this constituency, and to all of you one by one tonight, I salute you and I say thank you, and I'm with you. Tonight, in Sion Hill, a place that I love and a place that loves me, I want to dedicate tonight's presentation to the mothers of our country, our constituency, and St. James North, because why? Tomorrow is, as we all know, is Mother's Day. So whether you're a mother through biology, through adoption, through nurturing a person in the community, a godmother, an auntie, this speech tonight is dedicated to you. And I want to say early, happy Mother's Day. So to all the mothers in the crowd, happy Mother's Day to you. Let me also acknowledge the contribution that the mothers in this constituency continue to play on behalf of their children and everybody. We owe a debt to you for what you continue to do. You sacrifice, you give mentorship, you give love, you nurture, you provide, you give advice. You even give me advice as a big man. And I want to say that this journey, as we embark upon it, is really about saying to you the virtues that you have taught us is going to carry us to the next level of our development. Tonight, I want to address a number of things. But sometimes when you go forward, you also have to reflect and look back from where we come from. And part of the initiatives that I have in mind is going to start with our seniors, because this country and this party have always made it very clear that we have to ensure that the elderly continue to play a part, particularly given the role that they've played in our country. As I was canvassing, I will never forget, and it touched my core. An elderly lady, still sharp about her wits. She says, "Young Blackie, I want to play a part, not just in the campaign, because I'm not able to get up and go house to house with you, but even after May 21st, I want to help you because I think I have a lot to offer." And I said, of course. And what she said to me, and it became crystal clear in my mind, that what we need to do is to tap into the deep levels of experience, intellect, and nurturing that our elderly continue to have as long as God gives them breath on this earth. And it is therefore why I've conceived, and we're going to roll out, something what I call GREY, using the acronyms GREY, guiding, reflecting, and educating our youth. And what it simply is, it is an initiative and a program where our elderly men and women can give their ideas, their experience through podcasts and video recordings to share the knowledge that they've accrued throughout the years for our young people now and into the future. We must embrace our elderly in a way that we've never done before. The technology is there, the ideas are there, the commitment is there, and now we must simply bring it together so that we can now address a lot of the things that we're facing. Oftentimes we go forward in a society not realizing right before our very eyes are those who've had tremendous sets of experiences that we can tap in and rely upon. And I say to the elderly in this constituency, in this community in particular, I will work with you to ensure that you have all what you need, that you can live out your life in a meaningful and comprehensive way, even after retirement. We don't discard elderly in this party. In this party, we treat the elders with respect. With respect. We embrace the ideas and the passions and the contributions that they have had throughout the years. And therefore, this initiative will not just be rolled out pre-election, but it's going to be one that is going to be exciting. And I want to encourage all of you to spread the word. But I also want to say to you this. This is also about bridging the gaps. And when we look around at what mothers would tell you, my mother, Jacqueline Blackman, would always say, Chad, you have to dream big. And in dreaming big, you have to also conceive solutions that can help ordinary people. What do I mean? You've heard me say it before, and I will say it again until this campaign is over. There are a number of young persons in this constituency who have small businesses, medium-sized businesses, who only want a chance to grow even larger and larger, but they need the assistance to do so. I can think about a number of persons, whether it be Cassie, who's doing food right here in Sion Hill, the small barbershops that are popping up. There are persons who simply want to, you're given a chance. They can grow. And it is why you've heard Minister Cummings talk about the trust loans and the Ministry of Commerce working hand in hand at the local level as well to ensure that persons can now have the necessary resources to be able to do what they want to do. It is therefore why what is now going to be called The Plug, we are creating a network for young entrepreneurs to have access to each other, so that if you want to have a barber, a beautician, someone to cater for your food, that you know where to go and find them. As I've said before, we are on the West Coast, and a lot of the tourists on the West Coast oftentimes want to use local businesses whilst they're here on vacation or in modes of business. But oftentimes they don't know where to go, and the Plug will serve as a single repository online and directory where persons can go and access the local services that St. James North has to offer. In addition, as I've said, technology is a major plank. And it is why just a few hundred yards away from here last week, Saturday, we launched the St. James North Technology Hub. Why is that so important? Because we use technology every day. But the future of the development of this great nation called Barbados requires of us to conceive not just the technology that we use and import, but we must now create and use modes of technology that are Bajan and Caribbean grown that can be exported all across the world. And therefore, the St. James North Tech Hub serves as a basis for our young minds to conceive ideas that only they can, buttressed and supported by the constituency, government, private sector, to now provide solutions to global problems. And what are some of those challenges? There is no doubt that food security remains a big issue for the Caribbean. It is no different, not just at the national level in Barbados, but all the households in St. James North know and knew very well, particularly in COVID, the importance of having access to reasonably priced food. And therefore, it is why we are launching the St. James North Agricultural Initiative through a cooperative that allows for persons and small businesses that are in agriculture to pool their resources together under a single umbrella that allows for you to go and buy your pork, your beef, your chicken, your vegetables, your fruit in a singularly branded entity where you can enjoy economies of scale. The cooperative will also produce your administrative matters on your behalf, and you don't have to do them by yourself. And you can then singularly focus on getting your product to market in a comprehensive and real way. Therefore, the persons will now have the ability to be able to sell their produce to the supermarkets across the country. But in addition, and excitingly, we are going to launch a St. James North Farmers Market where every Saturday you can go and have your produce and buy for yourself. It should not be that you live in St. James North, in the north of this great country, and you have to drive all the way downtown when the Saturday morning comes to get vegetables and produce. We are going to ensure that it is locally produced and locally owned. And this is one of the key things about the initiative that excites me, that the residents of St. James North will have their own cooperative. Eventually, the idea, of course, that it will expand and others from the outside can contribute or may perhaps have shares, but that will be for the residents of St. James North to decide. We are looking to the future and we're not looking back. Why am I talking about the future and not looking back? I am told there's a lady running against me who has come to the house of a key person in Sion Hill and said, give it back to the Dems. Give back what? 10 years. She talks about education. For 10 years, her party, between 2008 and 2018, did not do a ying in the interests of our country to develop the prospects of our people. It was her party who stopped many of you who said to me, Chad, I was on the verge of doing my final year at UE. And I had to stop because her party stopped me from being able to do so when they did not allow you to have the tuition fees necessary to do so. You couldn't get a bus on time, garbage trucks, and they now have the nerve to come and tell you, take us back to what? Take us back to downgrades? No. This country is upgraded since we came into office in 2018. Not a single downgrade. Through hard work, this party, the Barbados Labour Party, is a party resolute of ensuring that the people of this country will not turn back. And as we go forward, we have to pursue with a single focus and a determination that every young person, every elderly person has within their grasp the ability to have a quality life. And we ain't letting the Dems turn us back to nothing. But I also want to touch on the issue because one of the things my mother also taught me, Chad, don't trouble nobody. But if somebody trouble you, it's a different story. Because I find it very interesting that we have our national meetings, we have spot meetings, we have different types of meetings, canvassing. They chose to meet you on Zoom. On Zoom. And whilst they were meeting on Zoom and trying to poke fun at how large and how big I am, I was pounding the pavement. Look, y'all don't see me tonight in a smaller shirt? Real talk. A week ago, this shirt that fitted me, man, like, I don't know, hand in grip. But in a week, after drinking lots of water, and lots of water, and more water, and walking and pounding the pavement and saying to you, this is the vision that I have for you, whilst they were on Zoom trying to cuss me, I have been working with you and saying this is where we are going to go, St. James North. So keep cussing me. Because the more you cuss me, the more you can do. As I said at the beginning of the campaign, I am going to have a clean campaign. I have a very sharp tongue. But they've not provoked me enough for it to be unleashed. But a word to the wise is enough. Not yet. There's a time and season for everything. But there's a time coming soon, I suspect, in the future. When that is, I don't know. It maybe have to put to good use. But I also want to talk about the roads. Whether it be in Sion Hill, Braffitts Road, of course, 2nd Avenue, you've seen the roads done. There are a lot of roads that have to continue to be done as well. And I've already spoken to our Deputy Prime Minister, who's my campaign manager as well, on getting the phase 2 of the rehabilitation started. And I can give you the assurance that we are going to get this done. When it comes to the clean and green, you've heard as our opening speaker, Minister Adrian Ford, a young man who I know for a number of years. He has committed and he's already started to ensure that the greening of the constituency continues in earnest. The debushing will continue in earnest. But it is not just about the debushing. St. James North has to also be a pristine constituency. And I want to encourage all the young gardeners to come on board with us as we now roll out a program that will allow for us to now beautify the constituency of St. James North. It isn't only about cutting the bush. This place must look like a place that we all aspire to. And you have the talent here already in this constituency to do so. When we look at where we are going with respect to the development of our spiritual life, there can be no doubt, and this is not about politics now, there can be no doubt that this country has been the beneficiary, notwithstanding our challenges, notwithstanding our opportunities, that God has anchored his foot in this country, and long may it be so. And for that reason, we have to now make sure that our young people understand the tenets and the importance of spiritual development as we go forward, working hand in hand with the churches, community groups, and ensuring that they have an understanding of organized activity. And therefore, I want again to call on our churches so as to ensure that we can now build out a strategic relationship for our young people, so that if they have issues, if they need prayer, a word of counseling, not with any fanfare and Facebook and posting, but in quiet reflection, as I said, that allows for them to now have that space and quiet space to do so. But I also want to very briefly speak to you in closing relative to why is Chad Blackman putting himself before the people of St. James North. It has nothing to do, and you've heard my background in international diplomacy, being at the ILO, being ambassador, those things help, but it is not the reason. The reason is my mother and my parents and my community taught me the importance of service. And you will hear me say it time and time and time again. If you want to be the people's champion, you have to ensure that you can serve them. And from a young age, at 18, I started the journey of service at the voluntary level. And I did a lot of things throughout the years, but it afforded me the opportunity to understand people, to hear people, to feel people, to be able to empathize with them in their most dire of circumstances without sharing their business in public. Service is about humility. Service is about delivery. Service is about ensuring that people can get you when they need you. Service is also about saying a quiet prayer with a young man who is about to do something that he ordinarily would not do, but you bring him back from the precipice of disaster. Service isn't only about doing things in the public light. And I want to commit to you, the residents of Sion Hill and the surrounding communities, that if you give me the vote, if you give me the vote on May 21st, with God's help and your guidance, I will serve you. And I will ensure that no stone is unturned in the delivery of service and representation in the Parliament of Barbados in Bridgetown. I commit to you that as we are moving forward under the umbrella and leadership of the greatest Prime Minister in the Caribbean, the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, that if you elect me to Parliament under her leadership, we will continue to grow, we will continue to prosper, we will continue to deliver for every single manjack in this constituency in a way that we have not done before. And I want to take the time to salute those who I stand on their shoulders, from Lammy Craig to Raul Eastman to Edmund Hinkson, and on May 21st, Chad Blackman, I will be your member of Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you, good night, and God bless St. James North.